el resto de los ministros que han participado activamente en esta negociación con un mensaje claro. La era de los combustibles fósiles inicia su fin. Nos mantenemos dentro del objetivo de no superar en más de 1,5 grados centígrados la temperatura media de la superficie terrestre, en un contexto geopolítico complejo en el que deberemos seguir abordando muchas de las preguntas, de los desafíos que tenemos por delante. Un balance positivo de esta COP que requerirá trabajo adicional por nuestra parte, trabajo adicional del resto de las instituciones europeas y más allá de nuestras fronteras, como hemos tenido ocasión de compartir también durante el día de hoy, con un almuerzo dedicado a conocer directamente las conclusiones del Consejo Asesor del Consejo Científico en materia de clima para la Unión Europea, para la Comisión y el Consejo, pero también de repasar otros aspectos importantes relacionados con la acción climática, como son no solamente las reuniones internacionales, también los avances en los planes nacionales de energía y clima evaluados por la Comisión. Un balance positivo de un semestre que se ha saldado con más de 21 decisiones adoptadas en relación con el paquete Fit for 55, muchas de ellas culminadas, 14 culminadas durante estos meses, 7 con orientaciones generales que permitirán a la presidencia belga seguir adelante. Un avance positivo que ha permitido también seguir nuestra senda de progreso en dosieres ambientales tan importantes como la Ley de Restauración de la Naturaleza o, como hoy, en la regulación sobre envases y empaquetado. Ha sido una negociación intensa en la que hemos conseguido encajar las distintas peticiones, las distintas preocupaciones de los Gobiernos, pero favorecer una convergencia que permita que en el mercado interior contemos con las señales adecuadas para la industria y logremos una reducción significativa del volumen de envases y empaquetado que hoy sigue circulando en el territorio comunitario con una tendencia al alza que merecía la atención, la prioridad en nuestra actividad legislativa. Nuestro objetivo es reducir gradualmente la cantidad de residuos de envases hasta un 15% en el año 2040 y creo que la amplia mayoría cualificada conseguida hoy pone de manifiesto el compromiso de los distintos Estados miembros, el compromiso de las instituciones comunitarias para poder lograr un acuerdo en trílogos durante este ciclo institucional, antes de que haya un nuevo Parlamento, una nueva Comisión. Hemos abordado también la Directiva de Vigilancia del Suelo, de monitoreo del suelo. El suelo es un bien escaso, limitado, enormemente importante para generar riqueza, para garantizar la seguridad alimentaria, para garantizar el estado de salud de la biodiversidad. Esta propuesta de Directiva de Vigilancia del Suelo ha sido sometida a la consideración del Consejo para poder disponer de una orientación general que permita seguir adelante y garantizar la gestión sostenible del suelo y la restauración de los terrenos contaminados. También venía a este Consejo con voluntad de poder contar con una orientación por parte de los ministros, un debate de orientación general, el marco de vigilancia forestal de la Unión Europea. Unos bosques que sirven en la Unión Europea como en el resto de las partes del mundo, pero que cuentan con una presencia mucho más elevada de lo que a priori se pudiera pensar para garantizar servicios ecosistémicos básicos, para garantizar el papel de termostato sobre la temperatura, la captura de CO2, el proteger nuestra salud gracias a la absorción de distintos gases o garantizar reservas de biodiversidad en buen estado, fijación de población en el territorio y otros muchos servicios ambientales que merecen la atención, la protección, pero también la vigilancia, el monitoreo para poder seguir adoptando medidas basadas en datos, en información. También en bosques la ciencia, el conocimiento es fundamental y las instituciones europeas tienen a gala precisamente tomar decisiones sobre la base de buena información, del mejor conocimiento científico en cada momento. Me gustaría terminar esta breve intervención agradeciendo enormemente a la Comisión, a los comisarios involucrados en las tareas del Consejo de Medioambiente su ingente trabajo y el de sus equipos para poder avanzar en una agenda que nos identifica con los valores europeos y que nos permite seguir construyendo nuestro proyecto en común. Estamos en disposición de ampliar el grado de detalle que resulte necesario para que la presidencia belga culmine con éxito este ciclo caracterizado como quizá nunca antes en un mandato de la Comisión en un ciclo europeo, precisamente por la respuesta verde y unificadora, facilitadora de consensos a nivel europeo en los desafíos que hemos afrontado. Así que muchas gracias, querido comisario, a ti y a todo tu equipo.
Yes, thank you very much and good afternoon and thank you for coming. I'd like to begin by thanking Teresa and her colleagues for what has been a truly exceptional presidency. You've managed to deliver agreements on many files that didn't look at all certain a few months back. Of course, nature restoration law, which first comes to our mind, but not only that, eco-design for sustainable products, environmental crime, industrial emissions, waste shipments, and all of this in addition to the remarkable achievements on climate. They really have delivered a colossal amount, and of course, it's not quite finished, and that's why we were here today. There were three main points of business for the environment. First of all, on packaging and packaging waste, then on soil monitoring, and on forest monitoring this afternoon. In the Green Deal, packaging waste is a big deal. Despite the requirements in the current directive, the trends are still going in the wrong direction, in particular for single-use packaging. So the general approach that we agreed today will take us closer to the Europe's goal for a genuinely circular economy. It reflects the need to reduce waste, to ban or minimize certain types of packaging, and to set up efficient reuse and refill systems. And it establishes EU-wide sustainability requirements, for instance, for recyclability of packaging and recycled content in plastic packaging to ensure a level playing field for all. So, of course, I very much welcome the result. I now look forward, together with the Belgian presidency in charge, but also Parliament, finalizing, reaching the final agreement before the end of the Parliament's mandate. We then passed to a discussion about the Commission proposal for a soil monitoring law. This was the first time that ministers were discussing the proposal, which, as you know, aims to fill a big gap in EU legislation. We need new legislation to achieve our objectives for climate and biodiversity, to build up resilience to droughts and natural disasters, to ensure food security and safety, and to protect human health. I reminded ministers about the many flexibilities that we built into the proposal and about the availability of funding, even under the current multi-annual financial framework. I asked ministers to treat it as a priority, and I reminded them that the Commission is always available to address their concerns. Finally, the forest monitoring proposal adopted by the Commission in November. EU forests are a vital resource for millions, and they are essential for climate goals, but they are increasingly under threat for catastrophic events like wildfires, pest outbreaks, heat waves, and drought. So to improve their protection and resilience, we need better knowledge, better information, better monitoring, and that's why we propose this new regulation to give policymakers a high-quality data that is comprehensive, timely, and easy to compare. Ministers, they were looking at this proposal for the first time, and they shared their views on how effective it looks and how cost-effective it should prove in practice. I was heartened by what I hear today. A lot of serious consideration has gone into the preparations, and we now have a much clearer idea of where member states stand on the proposal. We ended the day with some AOB points. On the one I would single out is, of course, the progress report on the EU Air Quality Directive. One main goal here is aligning EU air quality standards more closely with recommendations of the World Health Organizations, as well as strengthening provisions on monitoring and helping local authorities to achieve cleaner air. I was very pleased to see that the Council's negotiation mandate has largely endorsed the standards proposed by the Commission, and I think there is now a clear path to reaching an agreement early next year so that this too can be finalized under the current mandate. So I'll stop here. I'll be happy now to take your questions.
Thank you, Commissioner. Gracias, Vicepresidenta. Abrimos el turno de preguntas. Adelante.
Hello, thank you, Laura. Merci for context. I have a question for each of you. So to the Minister on packaging, you decided to bring some new changes, although you had a majority in the Council. You said that. Why did you decide to still have those changes, even though, and also because it meant adding even more flexibility on reuse? So why didn't you go with the majority you had at the first try? And to the Commissioner on packaging as well, the Commission proposal has been heavily lobbied, criticized, also from your allies in the Green Deal coalition, so-called coalition in the Parliament. And it resulted in a very long list of derogations, both in the Council text and the Parliament text. So looking back, would you have done anything differently to avoid that result? And are you confident you can try to keep some ambition level in the trilogue agreement? Thank you.
Yes. No, thank you so much. Yes, I'm happy I've done it. I've introduced 4 issues and I've got 25 votes for and a statement from one single country. So I think that it's worth to try to get as many countries as possible, as many member states as possible. And if I couldn't have done that, it may have been quite tough and tiny majority. So I think it is better this way. And of course, it was under the condition not to harm the purpose of what we wanted to achieve. Allow me to repeat, to remind you all what are the 4 minor issues that we have introduced. The first of them, ensuring that there could be a pooling accountability to deal with the beverage recycling and waste management. The second thing was to ensure that there could be a life cycle impact assessment before 2030, which is always good. The third thing was an exception, some additional flexibility for islands with less than 2,000 inhabitants. Very honestly, 2,000 inhabitants in a small island is not irreasonable to provide some flexibility. And the fourth thing was an additional year in the transition towards the new system, so to start at the beginning of 25. So I think that all of them were broadly supported, and I think that it is always good to be sure that eventually all member states, but if it is not the case, almost all member states feel comfortable and feel the ownership of the final outcome. So I'm happy with this result.
Yes, thank you very much for your question. Yes, we had a very ambitious proposal, and we need ambition because, you know, if you look at the statistics, every year we keep on breaking sad record with the piles of waste increasing, despite a great work done by the member states increasing their recycling capacities. It's not enough. The gap is growing. And the second thing, you know, one of the huge achievements of EU is single market. And we see that member states going separate direction has a negative impact on that single market. So I don't think the Commission had any other choice after the throughout impact assessment than just to put ambitious proposal on the table. I'm happy with the result today that we have managed to achieve. That gives a good ground. I will, of course, reserve from, you know, commenting in more detail because we still have trialogues that are upcoming. But if we manage together with now Belgium presidency and the Parliament to finalize it by the end of the mandate, keeping all 3 basically options as regards the reuse and refill, as regards the banning or phasing out some of the unnecessary products and increase the efficiency of recycling, I'll be extremely satisfied with the end result.
Thank you. Alice.
Thank you. Alice Hancock, Financial Times. This is probably more a question for Minister Ribera, but Commissioner, you're very welcome to comment. It was if you could expand upon the discussion on the 2040 target at lunch, and particularly in light of the Commission's assessment report today on national energy and climate plans, which highlighted a potential gap in meeting the 2030 target. Do you think ministers will back a 90% or more target when it comes to the communication next year based on today's discussion? And did today's assessment play into the talks at all? Thank you.
Thank you so much. I think it was a very interesting and constructive discussion. We had an introductory comment from Professor Edenhofer, so sharing the views of the Advisory Council on climate, stressing that all the scenarios they had been working on tried to ensure this 1.5 that was back in Dubai, and trying to identify what could be the fair share of the European Union. So it was quite, how to say, up in the logics and the arguments on the important task that we have ahead of us. And the Commissioner shared his understanding on how to proceed and to introduce the first impact assessment at the beginning of 2024, and then probably it will take a little bit longer to get into much more detailed approach in the procedure. I think that it was good to see that all the ministers were engaged on the fact that we need to enter into this conversation, that we need also to take into consideration the socioeconomic aspects, so to ensure that we can go through these pathways in a way that makes sense also for the general public and for the business and companies. But as I say, it was a very general conversation. As for the assessment report of the national climate and energy reports, we did not have real time to enter into the discussion because the report has been published this morning. So the ministers and the teams did not have time to assess. We went through a very quick reading, and I see that there are important messages in this report. Probably the first message is that we still need to work much more, and that there is an effort to be responded in order to ensure that we can count on a complete, comprehensive engagement coming from all member states to ensure that we reach what we expect by 2030. So I guess that it is still work in progress, but the report of the Commission is important, and that could allow a better understanding on where, how there are still weak points that need to be fulfilled.
Thank you. Following question.
Hi, Emanuela Barbiolio from Carbon Pools. I've got two questions, where one is on COP28. Some observers said the EU is to be considered responsible for the lack of an agreement on Article 6 for carbon markets. So I was wondering, how do you respond to these claims, and also what is your view on what should be done now that consensus doesn't seem to be there? The second question is also on the EEA data and the Commission's assessment of national plans. Can you maybe just expand a little bit on carbon removal certification framework and how our ongoing works going on that? Thanks.
Thanks a lot for the question. Yes, on the development of Article 6 of the Paris Agreement, there was something that has always been at the heart of the European positions, which is to ensure environmental integrity. And the developments of the negotiation were not really ensuring this environmental integrity. So there was a general assessment on the importance to keep on working to ensure a proper result, a proper outcome that could allow the engagement on these market instruments together with having no loopholes in this regard. That is regarding your question on COP28 and carbon markets. Then you commented on the assessments of the European Commission report. As I said, it is a little bit difficult to enter into a proper conversation on this final assessment, since we did not really have time to make a proper reading, because it was published this morning. I guess that the main message is that we still have things to be improved as Union, as a complete set of 27 member states. I think that the general comments dealing with the Spanish plan, of course, we will take into consideration the recommendations of improvements that may be there, but in general terms, I have been able to see that it is well placed and assessed in a very positive manner by the services of the Commission. But as I say, I think that it could not be a right moment to comment on this, because we did not have the time to go into a deep reading about the report. Sorry.
Thank you. Following question.
Hola, soy José Manuel Fernández, de Televisión Española. Ya sé que hizo esta mañana unas consideraciones sobre el asunto, pero quería preguntarle si ha tenido ocasión de comentar con el resto de colegas el tema de la exclusión de Doñana de la lista verde de la Unión Internacional.
Sí, muchas gracias. No he tenido ocasión. De hecho, he pedido a mis servicios esa carta de la que se hablaba en un medio de comunicación español, y he constatado que la única carta de la que dispone el Gobierno de España lo que explica es que ese espacio natural, que el espacio natural de Doñana está en una situación de suspenso, no de exclusión, sino de suspensión de la lista verde hasta tanto se completen información sobre los indicadores en los que los técnicos, los expertos de la OICN consideraron que la información ponía de manifiesto el incumplimiento de los objetivos, de los parámetros para poder permanecer en esa lista verde. Por tanto, estamos a la espera de ver qué es lo que ocurre, cómo reacciona la Administración responsable de la gestión de ese espacio, que es la Junta de Andalucía. Están los servicios del Ministerio en contacto con los servicios de la Junta de Andalucía, y hoy precisamente se celebraba una reunión del Consejo de Participación donde seguro que se ha suscitado este asunto. La reunión del Consejo de Participación, saben ustedes que tenía por finalidad hacer una evaluación de la propuesta del marco de actuaciones para el desarrollo económico y social de la zona de influencia del parque, y entiendo que probablemente ha salido esta carta a relucir, y espero que esa carta pues, sea pública cuanto antes para que todo el mundo entienda los términos en los que se pronuncia la OICN, los términos en los que expresa la confianza que mantiene en relación con los nuevos desarrollos, tanto el marco de actuaciones ambientales hidrológicas que presenté en Almonte en noviembre de 2022, como el marco de actuaciones para el desarrollo económico y social de la zona de influencia que presenté junto con el presidente de la Junta de Andalucía hace unas semanas. Pero insisto, en estos momentos no puedo decirles más, porque la carta me la han remitido los servicios cuando la he pedido hoy mismo, e insisto, no aparece la palabra exclusión de la lista verde, aparece una suspensión hasta tanto se clarifique y se garantice el cumplimiento de los términos que exige el poder presentarse en esa lista verde. Desde el punto de vista de la gestión ambiental y política, el mensaje es clarísimo. Ninguna broma con Doñana, máximo esfuerzo con Doñana, máximo compromiso de todas las administraciones. Hemos empezado una senda de trabajo con la Junta de Andalucía que creo que es importante, pero esto hay que consolidarlo y hay que reaccionar rápidamente en línea con las recomendaciones que conocemos. Muchas gracias.
Muchas gracias. Siguiente pregunta.
Renzo Consoli from Asca News, Italy. I would like to ask a few questions. One concerning the Article 26, the issue of the pooling, because I didn't understand why Italy was against it. So I would like to know if you understood why it was against it. I mean, what is if I understand that this is for putting together enterprises, and so why should it go against small enterprises if they can go together? Is it not perhaps that there's a problem with the general objective of reuse that is in there? And second thing about Article 22, Italy said the Italian minister said they were not taken into consideration, but actually what Italy is asking is what the Parliament has asked, and you have a trilogue there. And so, are you confident that you will be able, the Commission as well, will be able to keep the integrity of the regulation by keeping Article 22 and Annex 5, which the Parliament wants to cancel? And the last thing, this is about the whole logic that actually reuse shouldn't be compulsory, because otherwise it actually undermines recycling objectives. How can you respond to this? Because this is the Italian logic and the Parliament logic, actually. They cancelled the 2040 objectives for reuse. How do you respond to this kind of logic that you cannot have reuse and recycling while we have all the waste that is neither recycled nor reused? Thank you very much.
No, okay, I go, and then you can complete if you think. I guess that for the first question, why Italy was not comfortable, the best thing is to ask the Italian minister and his team where they consider that it was not enough. As it relates to the work of the presidency, I could insist on something which I commented at the beginning. For us, it was very important to keep the purpose and the ambition, and to ensure the largest possible back support by the different delegations. And there have been many things that have been worked along the last weeks in technical groups and in COREPER, and we have taken back some flexibilities, as for instance dealing with wine bottles or dealing with cardboards. So to ensure that we could work on things that may have a logic behind and did not undermine the main purpose of this regulation, which is mainly an environmental regulation, but as I said, it is also very relevant in industrial terms. It is also very relevant in terms of the single market. How the efforts being driven by the different member states have been differing to the extent that we are not as efficient, as effective as we could. And this is why it is going to be adopted as a regulation and not as a directive, but also providing some transitional periods to ensure that we are all aligned. There has been something that has been demanded by the Italian delegation, so to add a year in the transition period, and I think that there was an acceptance, not because everybody felt that it was needed, but there was a general acceptance on that. On the pooling, there has been an acceptance. I insist acceptance, because in fact there were many that did not like or did not consider that it was necessary, but there has been an acceptance to use this pooling figure when dealing with beverage waste, but there was a clear opposition to generalize this pooling on whatever waste and packaging waste we could be talking about. And I guess that for some it was already something quite flexible to accept pooling for beverage waste, and for almost everybody it was not acceptable to generalize this pooling on whatever type of waste we could be talking about. Finally, when talking about the relation and the discussions in trilogue between the Parliament and the Commission, and the Council. That will be the task of the Belgian presidency. What we have seen coming from the position in the Parliament differs from what we understand is a sufficiently ambitious final outcome, but we have already gone through the different interinstitutional procedures, so we cannot prejudge how things will evolve in the coming weeks. What I know, and I feel quite proud of that, not only because of the work of the Commission's team or the work of the presidency team, but because of the broad work of all delegations, the 27 delegations, is that today we have a robust response that counts with the support of the 26 member states. So I think that it is quite a good result, and that's what I guess the Belgian presidency will try to stick to, the mandate that they have got with this general orientation.
Yes, so first of all, on overall the position, I'm really thankful to the Spanish presidency who managed to get almost all, except Italy, on board, and even so, it was still tries until the very last minute. I think it's and the logic behind such decision, of course, should be asked from Italian minister. But I think first of all, what's very important that we are determined to defend our proposal, ambition of harmonized measures, because it aims to achieve three main goals. So first of all, our single market objectives, scaling up circular economy, and of course the environmental goals, which increasing waste is causing more and more harm. So first of all, I think what's very important that we have the first ever agreement on reducing waste, because again, with so much talks and effort put into recycling, we cannot recycle our way out of it. So it's a crucial element that we agree on the reducing of waste, and of course on the Article 22, Annex 5, which is on unnecessary packaging for HoReCa, mainly industry, which absolutely makes a very important part of this proposal. Because as I've said, we need to tap into all the possible potential there. Otherwise, the waste generating is only going to increase and going to increase the pressure. So therefore, I think it was a very ambitious agreement that has been achieved. We still cannot preempt what's going to happen in the trilogues. Position, they do differ, but Commission is going to play its role as an honest broker to find a way through. But I believe that this is a extremely important proposal. Important not only domestically, as I said, dealing with the increasing piles of packaging waste, but also internationally. We can send a very powerful signal, because today, under one of the AOB points, we also discussed international negotiations on stopping the plastic pollution, which we know that waste packaging is going to play a crucial role there. So I think today we have seized this opportunity. I'm very thankful to the Spanish presidency, and I look forward for next year to start the trilogues and hopefully finalize them by the end of the Parliament's mandate.
Thank you. One more question? Yes, go ahead.
Hi, this is Fabio Napoli for the Policy Europe News Agency. I got a question for both. I would like to know if you share the German position, about the fact that too many national derogations can undermine the integrity of the common market on packaging. Thank you.
Well, I think that this is a reality. It applies to waste packaging, and it applies to everything. If we count on many national derogations in any file, it could undermine the internal market. We have gone through tough discussions. Allow me to change the subject on energy. How many national derogations, and what is the DG.com? What has the DG.com to say dealing with this? This is very precisely why we try to develop common positions and common regulation. And what it has happened with packaging and waste packaging is that the system, the directives that did exist up to now allow the member states to take decisions alongside different principles and different proposals, different instruments. And it has been good to achieve many things, but at the end what we see is that each member state has developed a different set of instruments that sometimes do not work well together, with the instruments being developed by other member states. So it's time to try to provide a common standard, a common set of instruments to all member states, and to ensure that we go increasingly towards a similar approach on how we can manage this waste challenge, to reduce the consumption of raw materials, to reduce the level of risk connected to the presence of microplastics in the sea, in the water, fresh water, or in the soil, and the traffic chains. So it also applies to the health of our citizens. And I guess that it was the right decision to take. It explains why it has been so hard technically to reach consensus on the different aspects, because each of us came with a different background and with different national circumstances, but at the end everybody understood that it was very important to count on the same basis to regulate this field.
Yeah, so just to add a couple words, I think what's extremely important is to ensure that the derogations are proportionate and non-discriminatory. And member states, of course, there are many measures that they can take, but when we talk about packaging, and especially when we address design and restrictions, we have to